If it's earlier, welcome back to the 7 o'clock regular meeting of the Board of Directors, Tuesday, June 11th. Thank you all, and roll call, please.
Director Coverdale?
Here.
Director Feldman?
Here.
Director Mueller?
Here.
Vice President Reynolds?
Here.
President Michelson?
Here. Okay, for sake of our new participants, we're going to do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, thank you. Moving to public comment. Do you have any comments on anything not on the agenda? Not seeing any. We can move forward to our consent, please. Ooh, Director Feldman, did they pass muster?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the financials, I reviewed them and all was in order.
Good, thank you. Does anyone have anything on consent that they would like to discuss or pull? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to pass as a whole.
I will so move. I'll second.
Okay.
Consent calendar.
Moved and seconded. Lisa, please.
Okay, Director Coverdale?
Aye.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Mueller?
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds?
Yeah, aye.
President Michelson?
Yes, thank you. Okay, moving on. Meetings attended. Director comments. Anyone have anything? Wow, we really got through this rather quickly here, Steve. You're going to be up for pretty.
Our commission meeting earlier today. It's a little longer.
Yeah. You need more time, or I think we're ready to go. So we're going to go to general businesses. Pardon me?
I'll do the introductions.
Yeah. Well, I was going to do it, but no, go ahead because we've got a couple big honchos here in the room. This is a big deal.
No, I'd like to welcome Steve Ritchie, who's the Assistant General Manager of Water for SFPUC, and Allison Castema, who is the basket wholesale customer liaison with SFPUC. And they will be presenting today on the status of Pelositos Dam and Reservoir Improvements Project. Just to give some background, Coastside County Water District was formed in 1947, and one of the first actions of the Board of Directors in 1947 was to enter into a contract with SFPUC and to build a pipeline up from Stone Dam to get water from Pelositos down to our Coastside community. So this was really the key water source and has been a very, very important water source for Coastside. In the early 90s, we built the Crystal Springs pump station at the base of Upper Crystal Springs Reservoir. And we pump water up and over the hill, which has been a great addition to our relationship with San Francisco. It is very electricity intensive. We have big pumps, and it is so we enjoy that source, but really we still regard Pelositos Reservoir as being a very key resource for us. And it's also being gravity fed. It's also can be accessed in emergencies, and so it's really, really important for our for Coastside's resiliency. So with that, I will go ahead and Lisa's she's gonna share your presentation. Okay. And
Great.
That she.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I of course knew that I needed to wear a tie for the occasion. It's important. But no, seriously, I really am very happy to be here to talk directly to the Board of Directors on an important issue for you, but also for us as part of the PUC system. We call it the Hetch Hetchy Regional Water System, but there are pieces that aren't Hetch Hetchy, which is obviously the key one. So I'm going to talk about the Dam and Reservoir Improvements Project. because that is, kind of the big working thing that we've got here. Simple terms, I'll go into this in more detail. The dam is not safe and in current condition. And so we need to develop a project to deal with it. And so I'll go through that in terms of the presentation, where we're at on that, what we found through the analysis, the alternatives we've been looking at, and then where we are going to go from here. So we can go to the next slide. Coastside Reservoir. I like to talk about the San Francisco system as being a really old system, but this is the oldest dam in the system. It was constructed in 1866. It is definitely the oldest one, and it has a very productive watershed. I have one staff person who made a presentation directly to me talking about how productive the watershed is, and made a really strong case for how productive it is. His presentation covered the fact that if it was just for the coastside, we would have built the dam way downstream down here. But it actually has the ability, or has had the ability, and that's part of what we might be looking at in these projects, is rehabilitating some of the connections over to Kristen Springs and San Andreas that we may want to include as part of the package here. It's obviously very close to the San Andreas fault, but it has survived, obviously, the two big earthquakes that we've experienced, the 6 and 19-meter earthquakes. But we have been in conversation with the Division of Safety of Dams for quite some time about the stability of the dam and the ancillary facilities associated with it. So go to the next slide. I'm going to give a little overview of the facility, showing maps and a little bit about how the plumbing works, which you may be more familiar than I am with some of it, but maybe not. Maybe I am a little more familiar. I know. How many people here have actually been to Stone Dam? Get out there. I know. It is pretty remote, let's put it that way. So this is an overall system map showing where Pillar-Seals Reservoir is there on the left-hand side of the photograph, and San Andreas there on the upper part of it, and Lower Crystal Springs there on the lower part of it. And if you click on the animation, it gets right down to Pillar-Seals Reservoir, kind of blown up a lot closer there, which is impounded by Pillar-Seals Dam, and the water flow is down Pillar-Seals Creek that comes from the dam. There's not a pipe up there, but it does flow down through the creek down to Stone Dam, lower down there. But there is a way, or has been a way historically, to go through what's called Tunnel 1. Yep, creative name. Tunnel 1 there, the upper side of the reservoir, that then can flow down to San Mateo Creek. But also, and that is something we may consider rehabilitating, it can actually go to San Andreas Reservoir as well. And that's something I think we will be looking at as part of a related project that I'll mention here, the Pillar-Seals watershed improvements, which is trying to take a bigger look at the facilities around here. And then from the San Mateo Creek, it also has a second tunnel opportunity to be moved over to the other arm of Lower Crystal Springs Reservoir, or again to San Andreas through the pipelines up there. And yeah, go to the next slide. We can get down into the Stone Dam area, which is where it gets slightly more complicated. So we have Stone Dam there and a couple of valves, and if you click one at a time, I think there are little additions that pop into this.
Click again, Lisa.
Yeah, there we go. So that's the main route down there to ultimately the coastside turnout. It's that 12-inch line down below that goes down to Half Moon Bay through Stone Dam Tunnel number 1, and then Stone Dam Tunnel number 2 through Valve S60 can again be diverted over to Crystal Springs Reservoir. But then you see the stream gauge there on the left, the USGS stream gauge, which is measuring what's in Pillars Creek. Go to the next one. Yeah, that's right. We're through gate S61. We can go to Stone Dam Tunnel number 1 and the Stone Dam Aqueduct, but now S60 is inoperable. So that's one of the ones that we'll be looking at, whether or not we should make that operable again to improve some flexibility there for, again, a way to get water to Crystal Springs Reservoir. And one more click. And then the spillover Stone Dam, it's the flow that goes directly to the creek, which is where we have the obligation for in-stream flow releases in cooperation with the National Marine Fisheries Service. So there's a lot of complexity in there. And I will say one thing about Stone Dam that I heard our engineers report from the consultants who've been working on this area for us. They say Stone Dam actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. I said, that's good to hear. They said, of course, we actually have to remove a lot of vegetation to actually check that out for sure. So I have this fear in my belly that once they take away the vegetation, the dam might creak a little bit. We'll see how that works out. But their first cut at it was Stone Dam actually looks like it's in pretty decent shape. It's full of a lot of sediment, but it is probably in decent shape. Next slide. Just taking photos of these. So for each of these structures, if you click one, that's the dam itself, which I'm sure it's been there, which has a road on top and looks just fine when you just look at the road. Next is the spillway. We call this kind of a bathtub spillway because it's not just a flat line, but it's more of a channel that has water that can spill in from both sides. Next slide. That is the forebay, which is basically where the tunnel starts to get over to mud dam number 1 through tunnel 1. And then lastly, tunnel number 1, or not last, tunnel number 1 is the one that can move water over to Crystal Springs Reservoir that way in San Mateo Creek. And then the last one is the outlet structure on the other end. So those are all old facilities that again were built a long time ago, not too long after the dam itself was built. Next slide gives that kind of a history. I won't go through everything in the timeline, but it does have a long timeline there. Starting again with 1866 when the spillway, the dam and spillway and the forebay were constructed. I think one big thing was in 1970, the upstream base was rebuilt, which is a big deal. But there was a geotech investigation and stability analysis back in 1983 to start to look at, how stable was the dam. And then DSOD directed a geotechnical investigation in 2011 with follow-up studies that they directed. And we went through and did, ultimately a condition and needs assessment based on those studies in 2021. And we just completed the alternatives analysis report for the project. So that's going to be the bulk of what we talk about is what do we see from that investigation and what do the alternatives look like for a project here. And we've actually begun work on the conceptual engineering report.
May I share the number with that spillway from 1866? My history records show 59.44 inches of rain that year. So that spillway was probably being used.
Exercise that year, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. Next slide. So the status, again, the condition needs assessment was completed in December of 21. And then the alternatives analyses and the evaluation was completed at the end of last year. We've been working with that ever since to try to figure out how we want to proceed here. And so we expect the conceptual engineering report to be completed by the end of this year. That's where we kind of get to, okay, what what would a project look like in terms of what we want to construct out there. I mentioned the Coastside Facilities Watershed, or the Watershed Facilities Improvement Project. That's looking, all the work, the upper part of the work is looking at the Pillarcitos Dam and the Pillarcitos facilities. And one of the things I think a couple of us pointed out early on, well, Pillarcitos Dam facilities, they don't operate in a vacuum. We need to have something that is also looking at Stone Dam, and by the way, also the other pipelines and tunnels that are in there. So that's the Coastside Watershed Facilities Improvement Project. So it's a separate project, but one that will be carried out by the same project team to actually look at how Stone Dam and the valves and tunnels all work into this. And what is the best project that we can produce, looking at it overall. But the alternatives analysis was strictly around just the Pillarcitos facilities. I want to make that clear. And obviously DSOD coordination and coordination now with the Water District and with National Marine Fisheries. It's going to be ongoing for quite some time now. So taking a look at the project overview. Yeah, the performance objectives are, maintaining supply to Coastside County Water District, maintaining diversions into the regional water system of Lower Crystal Spring Reservoir, complying with DSOD's safety requirements, and throughout all this, we're going to have to consult with National Marine Fisheries Service on what should be the long-term in-stream flow requirements. So I'll just talk for a second about the existing in-stream flow requirements. I don't know how much of the history that you know of that. Basically, in I remember what the year was, 2006, I believe. We got some very strongly worded letters from National Marine Fisheries Service, basically threatening enforcement action against us under the Endangered Species Act. So at that time, we basically, I guess I would say, negotiated an informal settlement on stream releases that are roughly, 1.5 cubic feet per second to Pillarcitos. Those have been referred to as voluntary, and I figured I found out finally why we use the word voluntary. Although, yeah, it was voluntary, but it was a settlement with a gun to our head. The word voluntary was chosen because the powers that be felt that we could avoid CEQA if we called it voluntary. I'm not sure if that was 100% legit, but that's what they did. So that was before my time, so I can say whatever I want about that. But we do have that obligation now, and it is an obligation. Next. So looking at the historical supply, and we've shared with your staff, and they've intend to offer some more data with us. But looking back from 1998 to 2022, we've been able to meet 70% of your total water needs between the two sources, Lower Crystal Springs and Coastside. But the gravity has produced in all years about 45% of the supply, and in dry years about 35% of the supply, and in wet years about 56% of the supply. There was a time in their chunk of years where the pipeline was out of commission, so we haven't really factored that into the analysis yet, what it showed. But the point is, you've had a fair amount of water by gravity, and I think obviously trying to maintain that in some sense is part of what we're looking at for this in terms of history. So I'll get a little bit later to how we think some of the alternatives performed relative to that.
I'll just add, this feeds into criteria of how they analyze the various options for the work at the dam.
Yeah. These are the things we're looking at. It's like, okay, what are we going to do with the dam? What would ultimately, what were the alternatives? How would they perform in these areas? And so these were the operational objectives that we took a look at. For the dam itself, maintaining the existing storage, the spillway, delivering water to coastside, and facilitating environmental stream flows, maintaining the existing operable storage capacity, for the outlet works, diverting the Crystal Springs, and minimizing unnecessary spills into Coastside Creek. And the delivering water to coastside and facilitating environmental stream flows are things that the condition assessment says, we can do better on both those. So that's in terms of just overall water produced out of the facility. I think that was the finding that we can do better there. Looking at
The existing infrastructure.
yeah, that's with the existing infrastructure.
You don't feel that you're doing as well as you could
Yeah,
with the existing infrastructure for
Yeah.
CCWD.
and now we'll get
Okay, I'm
into
just trying to.
what the existing infrastructure and what its condition is. But yeah, we can keep them with the existing infrastructure. If we could keep it, which I think the conclusion is we're not going to be able to keep it as it is, that we could do better.
And it might be operationally, I think you all know that it's mainly manual operations to deliver down to you and with rate changes, et cetera. So that's another.
Yeah,
part of the
even our meter
challenge.
reader complains. You too?
We've been reading your meter for a little while now. It's pretty tough to get to.
So on the DSOD requirements, there were lots of tables about this. I tried to summarize it here, that, the embankment requirement is, it should be safe and reliable performance under static and other extreme, both seismic and global maximum flood loading conditions. And what we concluded, and I'll show that in a minute, it does not satisfy the seismic stability requirements. On the outlet works, again, safe and reliable performance under static and seismic loading condition, and the ability to draw down the reservoir. And what we found, the 4-bay tower can be used to draw down the reservoir, but it's not safe and reliable, again, under seismic loading. And on the spillway requirement, again, the safe and reliable performance phrase under static and other extreme seismic and probable maximum flood loading conditions. We should be able to pass the PMF flows without dam overtopping and minimum residual freeboard of 1.5 feet without excessive erosion. And it doesn't have capacity to pass the PMF loads and is inadequate from the seismic perspective. So here we get to some pictures. This is a cross-section of the dam as it exists. The top line there says original mesh outline. That is what the dam is now. The black line is the existing cross-section of the dam. And if we had a major earthquake, that white area just below that basically shows that the dam would, basically deform 11 feet. So we would have a major slump, basically of the top of the dam, a major earthquake at this point. So it just kind of flattens out, which is what it basically does. Next slide. The pillar seat outlet works. Again, tunnel number 1, we have problems with the tunnel. The efflorescence, or basically mineralization of the tunnel wall is occurring over time. And we've got some significant cracks in the tunnel wall. So that's where the tunnel seems to have some shortcomings. And these are just examples of what we've discovered in the assessment. And then the third is the spillway. Again, that's a photo on the left of the rear in the boat ramp. The one on the right basically shows where the concrete has been spalling, spillway chute, and that's just an example. There are lots of conditions that look like that. That's where the conclusion in all these cases is the seismic risk is too great at this point in time. So that's kind of what the dam looks like. from our engineer's perspective. So now we look at the alternatives. So we looked at 14 options and 21 sub-options. People like to come up with as many options as possible. Just make sure we've covered the full array, which got boiled down to 26 combinations of alternatives. And then for real analysis, we narrowed that down to 9 primary alternatives. And going through those, we came up to 5 that actually were developed for the alternatives analysis report. Ranging from redoing everything to having a restriction of water level over time, and 3 alternatives in between. Next slide. So what we used again were the environmental effects and permitting challenges, operations and maintenance applying, what the water supply and yield would be, constructability, costs, and ultimately DSOD acceptability. That's one of the things about DSOD, I think that we have learned over time is certainly ever since Oroville, DSOD has been, looking a lot harder at a lot of things. But the bottom line is they generally don't tell you what to do, but they give, I would say hints is the right word. They kind of like, how about this one? So ultimately, they're looking for us to come to them with an alternative that we think will meet all the proper conditions. And so as we'll get into the discussion, we narrowed it down to 2 alternatives that we think are possible, but we need to make sure that they would be able to accept either one. But we'll talk about what exactly the alternatives are, which are on the next slide. So number 1 is a complete new facility, new dam, new spillway, new outlet works, and retrofit forebay and tunnel number 1. And alternatives 2, 3, and 4 are kind of variations on that, doing different things, not complete everything. Like 2 of them say, embankment retrofit. So it would be modifying the existing embankment. The last one is constructing a new diversion dam and having a diversion facility. And the last one is have a permanent reservoir restriction, but with new enlarged spillway and a new lake tap, which basically would be, an outlet very low in the reservoir, so that you had, even when you have a restricted water level, but you'd be able to take water out from underneath whatever it's restricted to.
And just to clarify, because I don't think we called it out when we showed the dam as it is today. Again, the way we get water to you is through the spillway.
Through the spillway.
There's no outlet works within the existing dam today, which is why we have siphons that help sometimes when the water levels are low. But so that's another piece of this puzzle is you don't have some mechanism to take from
There's
lower in
nothing
the
other than the
reservoir.
spillway to get water out.
Along that line, who had the idea years ago to plug the outlet? Because it had to be back in the 50s when they made that decision. Their history has told me.
Yeah, that I don't know. I would suspect we can follow up and talk to the dam engineers. Probably have dug up every old record they could, try to find out all the information they could about it. So this slide in this series show this is the existing dam and what it looks like with the existing alluvial foundation and the existing bedrock below that. And so we would remove the embankment, excavate to a competent foundation, which we need bedrock, and construct new embankments, and increase the embankment height for additional freeboard without even increasing the reservoir storage. So, another click and show what it would look like. So you can see where the dam would be keyed into the bedrock. I don't know if any of you followed what we did at Calaveras Dam. So we built a new dam downstream. My favorite observation there was when they were down to bedrock. And there was this period of time for about 3 weeks where they had a little shade structure. And there were literally guys on their hands and knees with shop vacs and whisk brooms, getting every last little bit of loose material out of there so you got the best possible seal. So if we did this, there'd be guys out there with shop vacs and whisk brooms, cleaning the bedrock so that you could actually create this. So this would be an earthen dam, basically.
You need a generator too out there.
And yeah.
To power those.
There was a couple of eagles blocking the beginning of that construction, I remember, at the regional board.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of ones.
Those eagles have a way of being around. So that was alternative one, and that's the one. Alternative one and alternative five are the two that we think we're carrying forward now through the conceptual engineering report. So for alternative five, the existing embankment would stay where it is. We would have a permanent reservoir restriction with the water level lowered by 15 to 20 feet. It would have a new enlarged spillway with a lowered crest to 681 or 676. So basically, 15 to 20 feet lower than it currently is. And the new horizontal directional drilled lake tap for operational releases. So that's the blue, the yellow is the new spillway, and the blue is the, the red, the blue is the new spillway. The red dashed line would be the new lake tap. So that would be where we would, take water out of the reservoir at that location. And that's, I think the engineers think that is a very doable thing in terms of, constructing an outlet. Next slide. So comparison between alternative 1 and 5 and the historical supply data. This is basically from historical data modeling results that we've developed. So the top line there is percent of total CCWD target met, which again, those are the numbers: 45% in all years, 35% in dry years, and 56% in wet years. We think if we completely replace the dam, those numbers would go up to a much higher level. But with the alternative 5, which is the reservoir restriction, you would also get good performance there, the dam. Now, these numbers, I have to caution, they assume our current in-stream flow requirements, and we don't know if that's going to be true going forward. We're going to have to go through the process to do this, and not to mention the CEQA process that we have to go through all this. But regardless, alternative 1 and alternative 5 under existing conditions perform better than we've got out there now.
So it would be real easy to plug in higher in-stream flow requirements. I would imagine.
Oh, in terms of the analysis, yeah.
Yeah, you could be
easy to do it. You can
So
number in there you want, yeah.
it would be interesting to see, because 67, 67, 53, 82 look pretty good.
They look good, yeah.
They but it's nice to see them modeling at 2, 3, 4. I mean, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're going to ask.
Yeah, I think we should, we need to be doing that on our own before we even get to, talking to them. I mean, we're talking to them now with the restriction that we're operating under, but we need to have that kind of analysis for ourselves so that we have an idea going into it.
Going into this,
What it might look
before you
like.
get to the table, how much you can borrow.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, this is, we had several independent folks from around the organization rating the alternatives on the categories we had there on the left: the environmental effects and permitting challenges, operations and maintenance, water supply, constructability, project cost, DSOD acceptability. And I guess I would look at the environmental effects line. The presumption is the new dam would be the highest in terms of the problem that might come up. But the permanent reservoir restriction and not touching much at all would be on the other end. So it would be a much easier version of permit if you don't do anything more there. But you can see number one does really well in a lot of areas, and it's but it does have high project costs. DSOD acceptability is high. We're sure DSOD would say building a brand new dam, heat in and everything. That's the ticket. They go, yeah. You got that right. On the other end, the permanent reservoir restriction, we're not sure that DSOD would accept that, although with the restriction, I think there's a good chance they might. If you look at these, we put numbers to these, and in terms of total score, alternative 1 and alternative 5 look basically the same. So that's where we looked at this and said, gee, we should look at both of those together. One of the big differences, of course, between these is going to be in cost. And I think another, and the next slide. That's the punchline.
Yeah.
So alternative 5, is no new dam, permanent restriction, some uncertainty about DSOD, $63 million total project cost at this point. Alternative 1, doing the whole shebang, is 273 million total project costs. So got a wide range of costs there that we need to go through. And then I made sure I put in that other line that we need to catch up with the Code Sewage Watershed Facilities improvements to see the other things that we can do in the system that might make this a better package overall. But that's kind of the bottom line numbers, at least at this point. And those are estimates with the best information we've got. We can say those with some degree of confidence, but they still are early in the process.
Would you think, excuse me, through the chair, with this increased water supply potential, with the big movement we're feeling on the coast is when we were all involved in government here was no growth in coastal commission regulations. Now they want to build, and the whole peninsula. Would Sacramento be kind of more a little receptive to this type of attitude that you're putting professionally forward, which would be a benefit to what they're pushing on all of us?
Our experience with state government is these are kind of diverse departments, and there may be one guy who's kind of got a vision up there, but there's not a lot of coordination and communication. We're in the Bay Delta is where we really see it the most. It's like in Sigma, it's where we see it a lot. It's like you want us to do more with housing, which is going to need more water supply, and yet we're having real challenges on how we're going to develop that. So there's not a lot of communication across cabinet, shall we say. So this is and now I should say something. There's not a slide about the schedule in here. Well, there is. Excuse me. There is a slide at the end, a little bit about it. Let's go to the next slide. So interim operations. DSOD is really feels that this is not an unsafe condition. So we have reduced the operating level by 10 feet, which we decided to do to make sure. Well, we knew that they were going to tell us to do something. In fact, we had a meeting with them where they had done some internal numbers, and they said, well, if you don't do something, we're going to tell you to reduce 20 feet. So we did. We've reduced it 10 feet so far, and we expect to reduce it another 5 feet by, and the date got left off there accidentally. That's a year from now.
2025.
5 feet next year.
Yeah, 5 feet, 5 feet more
Next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got left off now.
Yeah, the siphon structures that we've had there have been destroyed through the storms. And so we're just completing the construction on the road to get in there. So we expect those to be done by the end of September. So we're going to have a challenging summer in terms of water supply and in-stream flows both. But with the siphon structures installed, I would say we're quite hopeful that we will be able to deliver more water consistently. But with the operating levels reduced by ultimately 15 feet starting next year, I think we could be in for a challenging period over the next 10 years.
How much water will the siphons move and how far down do they reach?
Well, they basically just reach below the dam, or where the spillway dumps out now. So they will just get just downstream of the dam. They're not going to be carried.
No, how deep? How deep?
How deep?
How deep? How much water can they access?
That I don't know. In terms of the total volume they'll be able to access, that I don't know. That's something that we can get back on. But I think we're also going to find in those 10 years, and I'm just guessing 10 years for the total project in terms of CEQA timeline, as well as design construction. It just takes time. And so when you've got like 15-foot restriction, obviously there's a less volume of water. And if you've got a drought on top of that, you're probably gonna have even less water. So
Yeah, that's why I'm curious as to how far down.
So 15 feet and 16 feet is kind of the theoretical max for
Yeah.
siphons, right? So we're already talking about putting siphons in at the hairy edge of their physical capability.
He went to school.
And then if we have a drought, they're out. They won't work.
I
And so,
think in a drought we could be looking.
there's no doubt. And so to me, the basically the bottom line is until the boring to put a new bottom tap out is finished and operational, we're pumping water from Crystal Springs at $70,000 a month. Not that PG&E isn't going to send us a big fruit basket. Oh, wait, they don't send a fruit basket.
They send like the
Higher rates, they said.
Well, and now when you talk about restrictions, though, I want to make sure that folks understand. A restriction is your target number, but if you get a fair amount of water coming in, it's coming up. In our case, it's going to come up at least to the level of the spillway, and so there will be that much more water there. In many year types, even go ahead into a drought. So it won't be all the time. That I think is where I'm thinking this is going to be, that we'll have at least those several feet to get at. And we could be looking at other alternatives. One that people talk about, and I can't say I'm a fan of, is trying to actually install a pump way back in there and maintain it and keep it operating with a generator, which means fueling and lots of other things going on. So that doesn't sound like a real attractive option. It might be one we consider when we get into some difficult times. But again, just want to make sure that it's not going to be 15 feet all the time, because there's going to be years when there is going to be plenty of water coming through there, and so we'll have at least that extra 5 feet, and even whatever spilling at that time.
I think my concern is that it's hard. You guys tell us many months in advance before you do a rate increase. We know what our costs are going to be, but if we don't know whether we're going to be paying it comes out to, well, let's call it 800,000 a year in additional pumping costs. And we don't know, it puts a real monkey wrench in our budget planning for rate setting to say, guys, the water will be this price unless it doesn't rain. In this case, it's going to be double that. And that's a hard position for us it's going to impact our constituents and be very challenging for us.
It's going to be a real
Yeah.
surprise and impact on the community in general.
Yeah.
I mean, CCWD is the source of, the drinking water, and we get a lot of it from you guys and a lot from Pilositos. And I know Mary has a lot of takeaways that impact on the community. The 63 mil versus the 273 mil, in my mind, shows order of magnitude in terms of timing to complete. So I would expect the 63 mil would take less time to do than the 273 mil.
Yeah.
What's the general order of that? I mean, how long will it take to do option 5 versus option 1? If, you go down.
Yeah, we have not, nobody's put together that type of timeline yet. In fact, if you just skip to the next page, that's sort of.
I see you're starting it.
Yeah, that's why we want to get, for us, the conceptual engineering report done by the end of 2024 and start the design, immediately thereafter. I think that's where continuing coordination of DSOD between now and the end of the year, when we finish the conceptual engineering report, we're carrying both alternatives forward in a conceptual engineering report. So that we've got one that we know DSOD will go for, and one that DSOD, could go for if we warm up to it enough. And yeah, for my money, that's a pretty attractive option for the dollar.
No, philosophically, Steve,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming to talk to us and learn about this. Because I've been around the patch here for about 16 years now on the board. And I'm frankly was surprised to know that I was going to have a 10-foot reduction in the level of stone bin water in the dam just last week. I knew nothing about any of the details of this up until then. So what you're doing is opening a whole new universe of information for me, and I don't know about the rest of the guys here. And so you got my breath, my breath left me when I heard about this. And so the question is, it's been going on for 7, 8, 10 years now with DSOD and these guys, and we had no clue. And the way I feel is, and I apologize, I'm not being critical, that we weren't involved in any of this to this point and didn't have a vote and had no say in the rating and have no say in what gets chosen. And that's exciting. It's a real opportunity for me in this community to be on the board and say, hey, guess what? I didn't know anything about it. I've been here, but what am I supposed to know? So again, you've given an overview of something that we understand, and we worked for a long time, that numbers are being attached to, the timeframes are going to be put together with, but I don't know how we, CCWD, get to be listed in the priority scheme for the selection. And I feel like, for me, I think we should be number one in voting for what gets to be chosen, and we should have some say, because this is us. This is our community, this is our home, and these are the people we live with. And I just don't feel like I've got to comfort level that that's the way it'll be.
I'll settle for number 2. We'll let number 1 pay, but I don't want to be in position. I don't want to be in position number 1. Wait, leave them in number 1, they pay. I'll take position 2.
Yeah, okay, well, number 2. Yeah, but that's I appreciate it.
And I apologize for that, because just to tell you, in the time that I've been at the PUC, which is coming up on 15 years now, Pillarcitos has always been, Pillarcitos. And I will tell you that this is an anecdote that I used to work at URS, worked there for 4 years, and actually when I was there, we won the engineering contract for Calaveras Dam to actually rebuild the dam. They've got some great dam engineers there. I love those guys. I ran into one of them about 10 years ago outside the BART station, or outside the garage in Civic Center. I said, how's it going? He said, oh, Pillarcitos. Said, oh. And oddly enough, that same day, I was at 2 other events. Actually, one was a retirement event for somebody, and one was on the BART platform. And at the retirement event, it was like, oh, the spillway at San Andreas. Great. And then I got to the BART platform, and I ran into another guy. And it was a third dam. So I mean, the challenge is, these are all coming home to roost now, and you know, we've managed to live with them. I think I would say that my perception is we have slow walked doing something here because I think people knew the answer was not going to be a pretty one. And probably should have communicated that more clearly up front, but you know, it kept taking a long time. And even getting to this point down at the end here to, okay, we're really going to do something. Like, hey, you know, so I understand, and I think I think we need to make that clear that this is a huge deal for the community here, because this is a significant water source for you, and that's what, as we got into the restrictions, said, oh yeah, this summer is going to be kind of challenging. I said, yeah, this summer, and the next summer, and the next summer, and the next summer, and the next summer. So this is going to be a challenging period ahead. And maybe we can get together and come up with some strategies that will help make it easier to the extent we can. I can't promise anything, but I recognized it as soon as I saw that. And then everybody's saying, oh yeah, what about this summer? I think we're going to be at this for 10 years. And I think that's a reasonable estimate.
So how about doing the horizontal bore first?
Just breaking it into elements, just do that.
Yeah, I mean, that gets us off your back. It allows you to lower the level without involving the spillway, because you could dump from there. And it gets us some peace of mind, because I'll bring up that 70K a month thing.
Right.
And we just bought a new pipeline to go from hither to yon. And so it's a shame to see it die of old age. So I'm all in. And if you say, yes, Glenn, I'd love to put that bore in first, I'd be all happy.
Easy. You need to add one more line there. Happiness of the CCWD customer.
That's part of it right here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very high.
Yeah.
That's why we brought you a bag of peas.
The maps for the dam inundation came out 10 years ago.
Right.
And it was pretty obvious when you looked at those that it wouldn't take too long for somebody to say, that dam's going to cause some malfeasance. So I don't think this is a surprise. I think it's figuring out how we can manage we can mitigate the damage to our customers. And the bottom line is we're a small district with a small budget and small reserves. And we have the benevolent overlord of SFPUC and would look to you for assistance in making sure that our customers who are part of your community are damaged as little as possible. And I think the logic of, it needs to be fixed. You won't get an invite from us.
Right.
We all agree on that. I don't see much of an argument to ask you to spend, 210 million more, because we'd have a pretty dam that none of us can go see. So I don't see that. I appreciate you running the various options, and we appreciate, you making us feel like you've looked at the various choices. So then really comes down to the choice of how do we move this forward in a way that keeps the dam division from smacking you with penalties, and yet at the same time gets us water in a way we can afford to have that water.
Well said, I agree. Thank you. If the board could be considered earlier, that would be awesome. That would go a long way towards alleviating.
How can we help?
Concerns here. Yeah.
To work with you to get DSOD to know that we're real people and that we have real needs and real interest in this, and support you in moving forward with the right tack. How do we work communally to make that happen? And we also have NMFS in here, and there's a lot of stuff in the creek that they're going to be interested in too. And it's going to cause all kinds of other issues about how much water can be allocated.
That's why I want to run.
They're my neighbors in my creek right there.
Yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of players in this thing. So
There are.
we understand this is complex, but we want to help however we can. And I've asked Mary, and we've asked Mary to tell you what our takeaways are, to give you some, hard copy of the things that we're concerned about. So at least you know what is important to us that you can keep in your list of things that, you have in hand to work with.
Yeah, no, I would appreciate that, and I think, I'm glad that you're making the offer, and we will take that and see how we can take advantage of it. Our experience with DSOD is, sometimes they can be very reasonable and sometimes they can't, or they won't be, not can't, won't. It just depends, different cases. We just sent them, to give you more context, we sent them a letter in 2020, we have 18 regulated dams in the system, and we sent letters saying, okay, post Oroville, a lot of attention on dams. We're committed to dam safety, so we're going to do what it takes. And we gave a layout of what we were doing in all 18 of those dams. We just sent an update to that, saying, okay, we've made progress on some, not on others, but we're moving ahead on these. So we've established, I think, a very good relationship with DSOD, that we may be able to work them to pay off in this and see what they can live with, that would really work for us. When I say us, I mean us.
Yeah, and that's something I would like to express from the board. I mean, I think you have our board
Support. It's a
full
good board.
full
This is a
support,
good
full
board.
support. Yeah,
Good
I mean, this
board.
is, all five of us, speaking
do
for all,
good
I
work.
feel
And
freely
we can be
speaking for all
helpful. We
five.
can do good things to help. If
I'll
we
bring
give
my
an
history
opportunity.
records for you.
So, thank you, and I really want to thank the both of you, Allison and Steve, for coming here. And I know we have remotely, we have Nicole, our CEO at Bosca, and Thomas Francis here, number two at Bosca. Did you have this? Are there any questions from the public?
They need to raise their hand.
Feel free, if you can electronically raise your hand if you know how. No, hearing.
Nicole.
Oh, okay, you moved to the upper left. Okay, good. Okay.
It works.
Okay, Nicole, please, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank
You
you.
have to ask. let her-
So we're
Listen. ask
about
her.
to,
Right there.
Hello there. I believe I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now? This is
yes,
Nicole.
yes.
I was not planning to say anything, but I am very happy that Mr. Ritchie and Ms. Casimir are there tonight explaining the status of this project. I know it's important for Coastside, and the engagement of this board on this issue, I believe, is going to be critical for your agency to be part of the solution and to make sure the solution fits for you. And Bosque is committed to being a partner with you in this process. So good job tonight.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Tom, we're gonna free you up here in a minute to speak.
He didn't raise his hand.
No, I'm here. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you folks saying I'm the number 2 one at Bosca. I'm happy I joined here today.
Unless I got that wrong, but I don't know.
No, I'm just joking here. I just wanted to interject. I did think, I certainly agree with everything Nicole said. I know that your CEO, Mary, as well as some of your staff, have asked us to provide updates over the last few years. I've done my best. I have to give credit to Mr. Ritchie and his team. They do try to keep us updated, but now that they have reports released, I'll make sure that I continue to share that information as much as I can. So I do appreciate everything that we heard today from
from the SFPUC. I think they've been very transparent in terms of the presentation that they gave. So that was it. Good. Thank you both. And we were definitely counting on Bosca's continued support. That means a lot to us. Thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess one thing I would add is, in terms of communication, I would definitely make sure that we provide a very regular update. Frequently, but frequently enough that you're feeling comfortable and informed as we work on, what we can get to as a solution. And just for example, one of the things that we do is we project, stream flows. And so I was just, telling staff yesterday, the day before, whichever day it was, no, today's Tuesday, what's the day before? Was that, we should be having a routine delivery of stream flow projections. And I don't know what frequency that would be, but that, people don't have to ask for it, that we just make it available. And frankly, both to CCWD and to the National Marine Fisheries and anybody else who's interested, so that everybody sees it. Because I know we're talking about the water supply angles here. We're keenly aware that the communities down here also have their concerns about having a dam upstream. They've been expressed from time to time, and we want to make sure we're communicating to them as well, so that everybody knows what's going on and there are no surprises.
That would be great.
And if I might add, we're going to have some changes in our operations, and so it's going to be important that we've talked about the limnology reports,
Right.
And various water quality reporting that we can that we'll see, and so we appreciate your help with that.
Okay. Thank you again. I think this is, I think
Thank you.
at this point, you're free to leave, and really, again, appreciate you both coming down and sharing the information. We look for a continued two-way dialogue in resolving this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you.
We're always there to help. If you need someone to testify, let me know. We'll be there.
My son is a good cook. So this is something to say. Go at it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Travel safely. Just tell my wife, don't tell my wife I gave garlic away. Cut the record.
Well, that sounds like Bobby.
That was those are my English beef and the garlic, and I put a couple bits in there. Italians don't want to give them away.
Okay, thank you.
The hell of
A few more items still left here. Is everyone okay? Is there a potty break, or can we just keep charging? Okay, we're gonna.
next step.
Okay, we're gonna keep charging. Okay. Item B, Mary.
So the district is planning to replace two of our tanks up at Carter Hill with a new concrete tank. And at our board workshop in end of April, we talked about moving forward with pursuing financing. So one of the first steps in pursuing financing is to appoint a municipal advisor who is a fiduciary for the district, who will help us in the selection process of the way we should be heading, whether it's bond financing or private placement. So we talked to a few people, but we went back and talked to Brant Smith, who was our municipal advisor for our last two financing efforts. In 2018, he helped us refund our bonds and add one from 4.75% interest to 2.85%. And then in 2022, right before interest rates started going up, he was able to secure 2.23% interest on financing. So we recommend that we move forward and work with him. Basically, he gets paid out of proceeds of financing. He doesn't get paid unless we commit, we go ahead and consummate the financing. His fee for bond financing is $42,400. For private placement was $30,000, which is the fee that he charged in 2018 and in 2022. So
Unless there's.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Oh, I would recommend.
Oh, no, I. You know, I wanted to. So I really, sorry, to steal your thunder. You know, I really want to acknowledge just what a go-getter this guy was. He sought us out from public records, sought us out and came to us with a proposal to, thank you for providing the numbers, to lower our bond rate from 4.75 to 2.85. Yeah, that kind of initiative, you have to really applaud that, and that's why I want to make the recommendation, because I was here, and I'm sure others of you were, and that was a big deal.
Great job.
Yeah. So anyhow, authorize the general manager to enter into a professional service agreement with Backstrom, McCarley, Berry and Company LLC to provide municipal advisory services for a 2024 tax exempt financing transaction for a not to exceed fee of $42,400 or $30,000 if private placement fund financing is chosen, with payment contingent on the successful closing of the financing.
I'll make a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Aye.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Aye. Thank you.
Good job, Barry.
Oh, Jeffrey,
Yes,
you're up for the next one.
I am. Tonight we're here to ask the board's approval of our FY 24-25 operating and maintenance budget, as well as our 10-year capital improvement program plan that takes us through the year 2033-34. We've met with you several times to talk about our budget, as well as with the facilities and finance committees. The last time we spoke with you was on the 14th of May. We've made no changes to the CIP proposal. We have made a few adjustments to what we're proposing for the O&M budget, and I'd like to go through those with you very quickly. On the O&M budget, we have three changes that are worth mentioning today. One is we took another look at property taxes. The year-to-date number is above our budget considerably this year, and we have always thought that, at least in the several months I've been here, that we can assume reasonably a 4% increase in property taxes year over year. We've seen that in prior years. FY 22-23 was almost 8%, so that was kind of an anomaly. But we're in at 4% as our assumption. So what we're doing is simply taking a look, understanding where our current year is at, and growing it by 4%. So we added $57,000 to the property tax number for the budget. I'm going to keep going, but please interrupt me with questions or comments. Number two, we're considering additional use. This change came as a result of a conversation with the finance committee and the potential for us to make more use of the Crystal Springs pump station and the impact on electricity costs. And so we added $100,000 to that budget, directionally correct move, we think. And so we're at $500,000 for the year instead of $400,000. And so that's another change versus what you saw in May.
we'll have to watch and see what happens, because pretty much we're off Crystal Springs at the end of this month. And we will be on it for the foreseeable.
And that's 70,000 a month, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be way more than 100 grand.
Well,
We're at 500 now.
Okay, but if you take 70,000 times 12, we're closer to 800,000.
but
So
we do,
shouldn't we be at like 750?
We're probably not gonna be at 12 months.
That's right.
we do have local sources. We have
Right.
so that
Maybe we
can
can-
compensate
We
on
just
that.
don't know.
We're gonna have to watch it
I
very.
don't know what the range is gonna be. We don't know.
BPA will watch it for us.
Yeah,
And
every month.
Yes, they will.
maybe, we will see higher numbers, and I think
Probably in the future.
it is a. hit for us.
So we're at 5 in the plan as presented tonight. The third change we made, again, after consulting with the finance committee, is to add some money to our staffing order for next year. And this is taking the form of some additional funds for temp help and maintenance, entry-level maintenance people to help out John and Darren's teams. So we added about 70 grand when you take into account payroll taxes for that line item. Otherwise, the budget is as you saw it in May. Haven't changed the working assumption for revenue for water sales volumes, nor our split 65-35 for SFPUC water supply versus local sources. We still have the inflationary assumptions that we've talked about in prior meetings, things like the COLA, which we'll talk about briefly with the salary schedule in a couple of minutes, 2.93%. The wholesale price increase we've talked about with SFPUC, 8.8 wholesale rate, and then 9.3 net price to us because the change in discount was only a cent, went from 38 cents to 39 cents. So net we're paying 9.3% more per unit from SFPUC. And then we still have a 15% assumption for PG&E rate increases for medical costs and liability insurance. So those are the higher inflationary assumptions that we've made in the budget. But again, these are consistent with what we should do month ago. So I'm racing through this in the interest of time. On the O&M budget, that's really our outline. CIP, as I said earlier, has not changed versus our earlier presentations to the board. So again, in the interest of time, I'll stop there.
Well, so these reductions aren't changes
Sorry.
on page 5 that shows some budget.
Those are just from the last
okay.
last year.
Oh, okay.
It is a comparison this year versus last year's plan.
Chris, please do.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve, but I just want to comment that we've gone over this in capital improvement meetings. We've gone over this in financial committee meetings, and then we've gone over this in board meetings.
Right.
So I don't want the public to feel that we're blazing through this. This is something we've been working on for, dare I say, 3 months. It's at least 3 or 4 months. And so I'm really pleased with it. I look at how it compares to how we've been doing in the past, and our budget has been, in my opinion, very good. I'll make one last comment. I'd love to know how other water utilities, how their budget that they estimate versus what they actually deliver. I'd be curious because I think we do very well. And it might just be, maybe I'm wrong, but I think we do very well. I will make a motion where we approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 operations and maintenance budget and fiscal year 24/2025 to fiscal year 2033 and 2034 capital improvement program. Why is one hyphenated and the other slash? Is that legal to change grammatic marks in a legal?
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, moved in second. Before we get into the weeds.
Are we gonna have some discussion?
If it's germane.
I don't know, Jermaine. So
Plant them, they grow.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Muller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michaels.
Yes. Okay, ping pong, back to Mary.
Okay, so the regular district election will be held on November 5th, 2024. And we have 3 zones that are up for election this year with for new 4-year terms. So the board positions are currently held by Director Reynolds, Director Coverdale, and Director Muller. So under state law, the district must submit a formal request to the county elections department to perform the services required to conduct the district election. Staff recommends the board approve Resolution 2024-01 calling for an election to be held on November 5th, 2024. The resolution includes provisions for the district to pay for election expenses incurred by the county. So we have $30,000 in our budget. In addition, it provides that allows for candidate statements up to 200 words. We have right now, and printing, mailing, and other costs of posting statements is the responsibility of the candidate. So
I do have a comment.
Okay, a couple of guys, questions who are up for a reelection, and to my right first.
I'd like to ask legal counsel, are we eligible to move and second and vote on this item on the agenda?
Yeah, all three directors who are up can vote on this.
Thank you for that.
So one of the things we discussed recently was improving the probability, getting more people to run for office. And I know I've been unopposed on the last couple rounds.
And you're so good.
Well, thank you, you're very kind. But one of the things I noticed in here is we have a draft resolution presents that the state candidate statement will be paid for by the candidate. And interestingly enough, you actually end up losing money. In other words, the candidate statement costs the same as what we get paid. So it's kind of I would consider it could be a barrier to people running for office when they go in and, oh, you want to make a candidate statement, write us a check. And it could be perceived as a real impediment to somebody who wanted to run. And so I would ask my fellow board members what they think, is this a good idea or should we have that covered by the board? And Pat, I assume that's legal to have the district pay for that.
Pay for which?
Yeah. And
Filing.
The submittal, the filing.
the candidate statement, you have to pay for that. It ain't cheap.
I always get the money back.
Yes, I know, because we get unopposed. But if you were a new person going in to run for office and you said, okay, how do I get my statement on there? And the clerk says, well, you write us a check for, what is it, $1,500 or something? More than that.
No, it's 176.
Yeah.
It is? Is that
Less than $200.
which one is the really expensive one?
None.
Or is that the League of Women Voters one that's really expensive?
I don't know.
I remember one's really expensive.
It's minimally expensive. I think you have to pay to have it translated
Yeah,
into Tagalog or something.
Like 200. Well, I think they say 200, but then they count it out. Yeah, number of candidates, 150.
Oh, is that low?
Yeah.
Okay, then I stand corrected and I'll withdraw my,
Well, I'm not trying to correct you.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear the spirit of your intention with this, and I support that spirit.
yeah.
It's never been an impediment to me personally, but also, I think we should revisit at some point
Not today.
what the pay is for a board member, and I'm more than happy to yak that up with you.
Okay.
And I've got a wild radical idea about it to really
Separate meeting.
give an incentive, but.
Yeah, no,
it's
and
not-
I agree,
not
that's a
on the
separate
agenda.
topic. I was just curious because one of the things we as a board have talked about is how do we make it more accessible for people to run for office?
Yeah.
And that fee would be something that the board could pay, the district could pay, and it would then reduce the perceived impediment.
Legally, we as a board could make it viable for other outside candidates to be paid for their, okay, just want to
Yeah,
understand.
so
to be an
the
agenda.
statute, well, on this particular item.
Yeah.
Right, the statute allows the board to make really two decisions.
Okay, Adam, just-
200 or 400 words for the candidate statement.
Okay.
And whether the district pays or the candidate pays, and that's kind of set forth in the statute. The model resolution you have is actually the resolution we got from the county, and the default is 200, and I think the default is candidate pays, but the board can make a decision to increase to 400 or to provide that the district pays for these candidate statements. Anything about just director compensation separately agendized in a different meeting.
Yeah.
That I-
Well, I think it's been made clear the bar isn't as high as.
Yeah.
Okay,
as
yeah,
I
he's talking
thought,
about
yeah,
trying to-
right, that's fine.
Not that high of one.
Yeah, okay, so moving on, if you, where are we?
All right, then if that's done with comments, I would make a resolution. We approve resolution 2024-01 of the Coastside County Water District calling for an election to be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 for the election of 3 members of the governing board representing Zone 1, Zone 3, Zone 4.
Second.
Okay.
For Claire.
Moved and seconded.
Okay, Director Coverdale.
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Director Reynolds,
Aye.
Director Michelson.
Yeah,
Just a point of information. Does anybody know what the due date is for those statements?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was July 15th.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it opens. I think the absolute last day you can submit is August 9th.
Oh, August 9th.
Oh, I see
It's
what
in
you
there.
mean. Yeah, yeah.
it's- Right.
They
it's-
told me I couldn't do it when I called them.
It opens on the 15th and
Right.
August.
They said,
9th.
yeah, exactly.
Right, go ahead.
Yeah.
15 and 9. Thank you for that
Yeah.
one.
July 15th it opens.
Yeah.
It closes August 9th.
Thank you very much.
good. Thank you. And, Stephanie, you already kind of give us a heads up on what the cost of living is, but over to, tell us again, kids, for those who weren't listening.
Very quickly, it's 2.93%. We've created a salary schedule for FY 24-25 that reflects those, or that kind of a change. This is consistent with the MOU we have with the Teamsters in terms of how we calculated it and so on. So our request is that you approve our salary schedule for the current fiscal year.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Let me read it in.
And we legally, you probably do have to read word for word, right?
Well, I think
Yes, yeah.
Jeffrey kind of read it for you, and then there was some, so I think we're okay.
Oh, okay, then we can go straight to
Well,
vote.
Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Aye.
President Michelson.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Oh, my God, where'd we get to?
This one was coming.
Oh, yeah. Change order.
Yeah, we knew this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew this one was.
Yeah, we
coming.
knew.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we discussed it basically at
Yeah,
the last board.
Last
meeting.
month you told us, and the amount's still the same, right?
Yes, yes.
So thank you
And
for
this
holding
is-
to that and then not letting them go up. So.
Final?
Yeah.
Yes.
When will the final notice of completion?
We haven't done that yet.
No, that will, I'm not sure in July, we're gonna, if we'll bring that or not, or it'll be August, but we are basically done.
And
which
they're
I'll report
gone,
out.
is that correct, from the site?
And they're gone from the
Ranger's
site,
gone?
totally gone, and so we're getting, and, well, we'll get to the next item,
Okay,
but
sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah.
to. Okay, so.
I'll make a motion. We authorize the general manager to approve change order number 4 with Ranger Pipeline Inc. for $41,096.22 as part of the Nunes Water Treatment Plant Upgrades Project.
Second.
Good, move down second.
Okay, Director Coverdale,
Aye.
Director Feldman,
Yes.
Director Mueller,
Aye.
Vice President Reynolds,
Yes.
President Michelson.
Yes. Okay, wow, we'll get down nitty gritty here. General manager's report.
well, we skipped into
Yeah, we
this.
gotta go back. to
It is something where I don't, we can- we'll get a final report from Florida Loretta in July.
Oh,
We basically wrapped up our,
without our, James at the podium, and who's gonna, you're gonna lead the
yeah, well,
meeting.
basically, we're pretty much done. We're, Ranger has demobilized. It's been final cleanup. And we had a few punch list items and warranty work, but pretty much we're done, and we'll have a few things we'll bring, likely in July, paving. We need to do some paving around the plant, which will bring, likely bring a proposal next month. But we're in good shape with just finishing some things up. So we do have some pictures are just, they're just some of the things that we, I think overall you've probably seen most of these pictures. So, but it is exciting. We're talking internally about potentially having, ribbon cutting, probably around the early September because we want to get the paving done and a few things
Mhm.
cleaned up. But it's, this is report 34.
As part of the facilities committee, I had an opportunity to go up and see the new settling basin working and the filters in operation. And it was really impressive to see how clean and nicely the operation was and what a good job kind of everybody's done. And so as a board member, just sort of looking at it from 10,000 feet, I wanted to say to the whole Coastside County Water District staff, really impressed with, this was an expensive project. It was complicated, that requires changes midstream. And it was really impressive to see how well organized and how smoothly the change orders that were done are a fraction of what would normally be done on a project percentage wise. And the team kept us in the loop in a way that kept us informed and enthusiastic. So I want to say, as a board member, I'm really impressed with how Coastside County Water did this job, and I'd like to say thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to echo that also. Certainly, it's been a joy being on facilities, watching this and seeing it through. And like you said, really, less than 5% cost overruns over the course. I'm going to say this before, over 3 years when inflation was probably 3 to 4 times. Yeah, during COVID, I mean, this was really, I mean, kudos to everybody, everyone involved. So, thank you, and we do look forward to ribbon cutting.
If I can think of a word that describes the project in retrospect, I called it seamless.
Yeah, no, really.
That's the best word I can come up with, seamless. Just no open seams, nothing, just one into the other, never a problem. I mean, all things could go that well, it would be a nice world to live in. But they don't, so I just support what you've heard so far. And it's from the expert here. If he says it's good, then it's good.
How much this could go this fall?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure for the camera and in the audience, we hope Hillercetus goes as seamless. Thank you. Okay, General Manager's report now.
Okay, well, I'm sad to announce for us, but happy to announce for that Sue Turchin is retiring July 12th. She's been with us for 18 years as a customer service rep. She will be missed. She's very hardworking, dedicated, but I think she's also very caring with our customers. She really looks at, when she's talking to customers, she tries to, put things in the best light, help them with their payment plans, and she's just, she has a kind heart, and she will be missed. So anyway, so if you're in the office, please wish her well.
Can you express our thanks to her from the board?
Yeah, can you do
that we're really proud of the reputation that our front admin office puts out to the public, and we'd like to say that's her efforts. Thank you.
No, and she's a great representation of a local, homegrown. May have crossed over with her in high school, and I'm not sure. Her brother, yeah. So this is really what we're all about. We are a small town district, and she was representative of that small town.
Can you get something together? Maybe we could all sign it. The board sign it on. That would be whatever. You decide.
Put something together.
Right. 18 years.
Other item, I participated in this CRISP meeting, which involved 30 plus members of various agencies across the coast side. And so they're putting together some strategic planning on infrastructure for the coast. So more to come. I will be contributing our input.
Chris?
So the next one, we're going, and I might call on Darren. I was very thankful that our team operations team, Darren, Sean, Todd, and Dustin, wrote up this superintendent's report. I think the highlight of the month really was our Primus liner installations, both that we had at Magellan and Highway 1, and then recently on Alameda. And so we, I don't know, Darren, if you want to say anything about what you're. Oh,
If she wants to play that first,
we're gonna
and then.
play. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so.
Oh, what happened to the sound? You got to turn it up? No, tell her we're not getting sound. Yeah.
I know, I'm trying to get the sound up here.
We can hear her.
I had it earlier. That's what happens when.
Hit the double bar.
It's right here.
Yeah.
Took off too.
No, not from the new owners. For the old owners, there were two cows.
Yeah.
And they sold to this guy that built that beer garden beside it.
It was,
Still in
hold on, let me start it over again.
And you know that.
The lower
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really strange.
I had it working earlier. I think it just sat too long.
They never actually gave me it.
There was a.
I can just speak to it real quick.
I don't see it anyway.
Yeah, you can.
Maybe somebody could talk to her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, please get it.
You can just play the video and I'll,
Talk to her and tell us.
Yeah, I
tell
can-
us what you guys are.
yeah.
I won't have to the initial.
No, it's all you.
I worked fine with Lisa earlier.
And so I was played it. At Stevens. I was at.
He worked this afternoon, but then he
It's
did.
not working.
or did work
You
this
left.
afternoon.
Nope, can't do it now.
Especially now, I was into irrigation system.
Knock it out. It's, Lisa, I can't even pop it open now.
Okay, maybe we just speak to it. If you don't.
Yeah, no problem. Anyway, so, the crossing of Magellan.
Hey, guys, okay.
Oh, sorry. The crossing under Magellan, the 10-inch line going under, Highway 1 and the, I guess you call wetlands, the new bike path, all that. We use a new to us product, called Primus Liner. It's formed, if you guys haven't seen it, or you can do some research, similar to like a CIPP type lining, but with massive pressure possibilities. The liner that we put in there is good for well over our usage of it. It's upwards of 500 PSI. Anyways, we pulled one under Magellan, pulled one under Meadow Creek through the existing pipelines. Very, very, very interesting cost-saving new technology to us. So it's gone extremely well. One of the Magellan pipelines already in service, and it's been working great. So.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to observe the installation of it, and it's,
I went up to.
yeah, did you have a chance to?
I had a chance to get.
Yeah.
ready to go up and see him do it. Yeah.
What a great opportunity, and just, yeah. Because we know how, we continually see just how environmentally sensitive
There was a pipeline.
the
it's
creeks
on that
are.
rail.
So to not have to engage regulatory agencies and get a critical pipeline installed was, what a great way to do it.
Well, and literally the alternatives would be in the millions,
Yeah.
not.
Oh, no, it's 365 feet, they told me.
Oh, here.
This
was
was
There it
like,
is.
15% of the
Like $1
other,
million bucks?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fraction.
Yeah, no, that's the best part of it. Yeah.
I'd
To
say
me, that's,
Okay.
that's,
good play.
Yeah.
See
try
it,
again.
make it full screen.
Yeah. Oh.
I can watch it without.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can see it
Yeah,
with
I can
us.
still watch it
That's
without the
fine.
sound. It's still interesting.
Yeah, and that was, so John Sutter obviously helped us with EKI, the design and vetting this
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, that's a good
Our.
Yeah.
That gives you an idea.
No, that's, the south side of Medio Creek. Both of those are on the north side.
And where did it get killed?
You know, the trip.
Yep, there's the whole.
And Marana that goes in to the alley that went to the back bar cafe.
The guy with the camera did one.
John, I drew a design for a roundabout there.
There's the sign.
That's amazing.
And I sent to,
And there's the puller.
to the mayor
The sound is, yeah. It's not loud enough.
and to our board of suit guy.
Hey,
The reason why we chose the Primus and Advantage liner,
There he is.
the Highway 1 and the wetland behind it was quick, was cheap, and it dealt with our pressures. No one else could give us the pressure rating that Primus could.
Yeah, this is its line, operates at a relatively high pressure. It's about 140 pounds, and Primus line was able to meet those requirements, whereas some of the other rehab options weren't able to meet the pressure requirements for this pipeline. This liner, 10-inch liner, medium pressure with medium pressure fittings. We can go upwards of 250, 300 PSI operating pressure on that. So it really meets the need that they have now and in the future for that, that they weren't able to get with traditional pipe rehab solutions on that.
amazing.
Can you imagine the wetland permit?
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. How long did it take to do that pull? I forget.
It was.
About a half hour.
I mean, you think about what you do if you didn't do that. You had a big. Oh, listen, it's great.
It's unbelievable. Oh, yeah.
Oh, super.
The only other,
Super credit to those who.
Marion, one more.
Yeah.
Finish.
but the only other item I'd like to really point out that thanks to with all of Darren's team's work, we're almost done with our flushing. We've actually flushed the whole community except for Moonridge.
Moonridge is all that's left. That's correct.
So, and with very few complaints, so the guys really did a good job. They did, some of the flushing at night, in Ocean Colony and in the downtown area. Anyway, they did a great job.
Thank you. It looks like we can't end the meeting. So we're gonna have to keep on going here.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you. So
We have the Keystone.
listening to my directors to the left and right of me, in light of potentially high bar of entry into service here at CCWD, and another director willing to take on board compensation. Let's have that on an agenda so we can legally talk about it. And it'd be nice, the timing is right in that maybe there could be some incentive, like you say, to get more people to participate, make it financially, worth their while. And so I think it'd be timely for our next meeting. So as the window, and just like we were saying earlier, mid-July to early August opens up for people to run. Thank you. Thank you all. And anyone else?
The only other question I had is, we talked about it a while back, starting to look for a future planning session, a 5-year planning session, or whatever. And I don't think that we've really gone anywhere with that. Maybe it should be after the election. So
That can gets kicked down the road, but yeah, I like it. Let's kick it.
No, it's a good idea after
No,
the election.
Should there be change? Should someone decide to retire? Should there be change? It would be a good idea, get opportunity to get someone up to speed and running, because there's a lot to learn, and those of us remaining here, we have to have a lot of experience. So it's nice to get people up and going.
I have a question, and it might go to Pat. I think I remember that all 5 of us on the board have been through the board member training that's I believe, special district puts on. Patrick, can we require that of new board members?
I don't know if we can, I'd have to look into that. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I think it's very valuable, and I know that in the past, it's come up that all the board members have done that. But it does take a couple days of training in their seminars and their leadership academy. And it just seems like since we don't have a new board member now, but there is an election, this would be the time if we were gonna have that policy to do it, because then we're not in, it's before the person was elected. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is a requirement if you want to be a district of distinction or whatever.
Oh, that's us.
Yeah. Let's keep that, keep that bar high.
Yeah, I can. look that up.
Yeah.
But I know it's not on the transparency one. But we can, I'm almost positive you can request the new member to go through.
Yeah, okay. I think that would be my only comment, so thank you.
That would go there. Is he getting very much?
Okay, camera's off.
Are we done?
Microphone's off.
41, okay. Yes.
We're saying good night to everyone, and thank you all.
Patrick, the motion we.
Recording stopped.
Patrick. The motion we passed today for